In Black Clover, the main enemy of the series currently are the elves, but many people have questioned on who could be the potential next villains, as the power of the elves are absolutely immense. How is there going to be an enemy as strong or even stronger than them? I'm going to give you guys some examples from the manga on how powerful these elves are. These will be light spoilers, just basically feats, but if you don't want any spoilers at all, don't watch, and then just go read the damn manga. But anyways, we have however strong Yuno is, which he's pretty strong. He's relative to a captain, as he takes on a Rill in the Royal Knight Selection tournament, and he's pretty close there. He also then gets an elf form, which is a massive buff to his powers. He then fights alongside Black Asta against the real Licht, whom Licht doesn't have his grimoire, isn't fully reincarnated yet, and isn't even trying that hard, and yet Licht pretty easily defeats both Black Asta and Elf Spirit Drive Yuno. Also, Elf Langris was able to take on both Jack the Ripper, Yami, who were both supported by Finral's spatial magic at the same time. So Elf Langris takes on two powerful captains, aided by a spatial mage user. Also, Elf Luck Voltia was so fast that Magna couldn't even see him move. And remember, a much weaker Magna was able to see Veto move. So yeah, Luck is ungodly fast as an elf. This brought up a lot of questions for fans of the series of Black Clover. The elves are so strong right now, how in the hell are future villains going to be able to compare to the elves for it to even make sense? Well, thing is, this is a shonen manga. There's always going to be a stronger villain. I'm sure that many people questioned how there would be a villain even stronger than Frieza after Goku went Super Saiyan and defeated him, or a villain stronger than Toguro in Yu Yu Hakusho. Or it turned out Frieza wasn't even that strong, and Toguro wasn't even a Class S demon.
There's always a bigger fish.
Now sure, it does seem there shouldn't be a villain that has any kind of magic power that rivals the elves, but who says that the villains have to have stronger magic power or more mana? Why not being physically strong like Asta, Veto, or Captain Yami? This is where the Vikings can come in, like my title suggests. The Vikings were a group of real-life warriors originating from the Nordic countries hundreds of years ago, and spread around the world trading and pillaging, etc. They were revered warriors who won mainly because of their tactics and their physical prowess. Vikings were usually taller and physically stronger than the Christians they were attacking, and a majority of the other areas they attacked as well. Vikings were always known as being huge people and strong people. We know that if you are physically strong in Black Clover, you have huge advantages. Yami is such an amazing captain, and huge part to his physical prowess. The mainstay of Asta's success is due to his physical prowess, and Veto was such a hard villain for Asta to overcome, in part to his amazing physical prowess combined with his powerful mana. Now imagine an entire race of beings, or a race of people, who are near the physical strength of Asta and Yami as the next villain in the series, or maybe even stronger. Or if not the next villain of the series, future villains. Now the Vikings loved the raid, and the series could start off with the Vikings raiding the Clover Kingdom. When the Magic Knights come to stop the Vikings and protect the town that they are raiding, these Magic Knights realize that the Vikings are a bit more than they bargained for. Their unmatched physical prowess combined with magic, and are all likely wielding axes and shields, in a similar way that Yami puts his dark magic on his katanas, they will be putting their magic on their axes, swords, and shields. It is important that not only the Vikings are hard for the majority of the characters to do battle with, but what's really important for the story is that our main character, Asta, it's also hard for him to fight. It is directly stated by Veto that Asta's weakness is when a mage who is very physically strong combines their strength with their magic to become stronger than Asta. This would prove to be a weakness for Asta to fight against. Not only could the Vikings be a great weakness for the main characters, there are also potential ways for these warriors to actually be even better, for the Vikings to be even harder for the Magic Knights to defeat. For example, one of Leona's advantages in Black Clover is that she fights like a warrior and not a mage. This makes it harder for other mages to attack Leona, like when Raya was fighting her, he couldn't do shit to her. Part of the reason was she fought like a warrior. If all the Vikings fight like warriors, then a lot of these mages will be at another disadvantage. I can already see it. Leona being one of the only mages that can fight it back against the Vikings, and thus forcing her to teach the other mages how to actually fight like a warrior and not just like a mage. Even if these Vikings have physical strength and magic, there was always ways for them to likely boost their magic powers to even rival the elves in mana alone. An interesting way to do this would be the runes of the Norse. These ancient runes both worked as an alphabet as well as a way of worship or to attain power. In the Norse mythology and religion, the runes were created or discovered by Odin, who used them for various magic powers. Knowledge, strength, power, all of that. Many people have tried to use these runes for magical properties like strength and more. These Vikings could use runes like the Aru's rune, the rune of strength, to even further increase their own mana, magic power, or physical power. Maybe they draw the rune on their skin, and the new drawing or tattoo glows, and then they get an amp, or they have like these runes and they crush them. There's many different ways they could use the runes in Black Clover. So not only could these Vikings have physical power, be extremely strong physically, but also have a greater amount of mana than elves, use weapons, and also be better warriors. This just seems like an easy and interesting way to provide a more powerful villain than the elves. Not only this, but in the Viking sagas, there are weapons that are speculated to have been made by dwarves, who have expert craftsmanship. For example, on how strong dwarven weapons are. So I've read a book on Norse mythology. An Asgardian made sword is far stronger than a human sword. A mere Asgardian sword is so strong that not even Fenrir could break it with his bite. Yet Fenrir could bite down and eat the sun with his bite. So the Asgardian sword could stop a sun level attack. And the dwarven swords are stronger than Asgardians. If these Vikings are introduced in Black Clover, and they have these dwarven weapons, it would only make even more sense and give more explanation as to why these people are stronger than the elves, or more powerful. Also, there were Viking berserkers and Ulfhenders. These were warriors that were already amazing, but then likely took drugs and went into battle, and were uncontrollable. They were nearly unstoppable, mainly because of their mental state. This made them stronger, because their brain was so messed up it didn't stop them from using their full strength, which would mess their body up, and also they didn't feel pain because of the drugs, so they were just unstoppable. Berserkers wore bear skins usually, and Ulfhenders wore wolf skins. Zabata could easily take inspiration from this, and have these be actual transformations for the Vikings, kind of like Ozarus, which are the great apes for the Saiyans and Dragon Ball Z, but instead they turn into giant bears or giant wolves when they go berserk. Now, so far I have pretty much only explained why the Vikings would make a cool villain, and an interesting one that would also make sense as to why they're stronger than elves. But is there any potential evidence as to why the Vikings would even be in Black Clover in the first place? And the answer is actually yes, there is some evidence. We know that one of the biggest inspirations that Black Clover author Yuki Tabata got for the series of Black Clover was Berserk, whose very title name is inspired from the Viking warrior, a berserker. Also, there's a lot of Norse mythologies, inspirations, or references already featured in the series of Black Clover. The most obvious one is the fact that the elves are in Black Clover. Elves are famously from Norse mythology. Elves are a powerful and magical race in Norse mythology who can use magic, and often humans saw them as gods in their own right. Humans worshipped elves, which is exactly how the elves were in the origins of Black Clover. The elves saved humans from disasters, and in the beginning the humans worshipped the elves as if they were gods. Also, there are other things like William's World Tree magic, which is very similar to the Yggdrasil, the World Tree of Norse mythology, where all the 9 realms are connected through its branches. Another huge influence is Noel's Valkyrie dress, Valkyries being Odin's chosen female warriors that go through battles picking up dead soldiers and taking them to either Valhalla or Folkvanger, and usually she picks up the elite ones. Sometimes, when in need, they'll pick up all dead soldiers when they need the soldiers. Now, I guess one of the main possibilities where we could see the Vikings is from the Spade Kingdom, where it's a military power, a land of fog and snow, just like Scandinavia. Although, this could also just be Russia, or a inspiration from Russia. Anyways, the Vikings actually mainly raided European lands, and the Clover Kingdom is likely heavily inspired by France. So there you have it. The evidence mainly is that Black Clover already has a lot of influences from the Norse mythology, so it is entirely possible that the Vikings do come to the fray at some point. And based on the possibilities I explained, physical strength, weapons, runes, and maybe even transformations, these Viking warriors could make the elves look like an afterthought. The Vikings can make the elves look like fodder, and personally, I think that'd be pretty cool. I mean, I am biased though. My ancestors were Vikings, my favorite TV show is Vikings, but I think they would make a perfect villain, or hell, maybe even an ally in this series. With enough Norse influences on this story, I can only hope to see them in the future. But, what do you guys think? Do you want to see Vikings and Black Clover, or do you think that would be dumb? Let me know, guys, but please do leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on notifications to be notified every time I upload a Black Clover video, and also check the description below, follow my Twitter, and join my Discord. Hope you guys all have an amazing day. Plus...